Hi traders, welcome to this live currency strength indicator table video with me, John, on this Thursday, the 19th of October. You can see Kiwi Swiss continues to dominate our tables as the currency pair to watch, with Kiwi being the weakest currency and the Swiss franc being the strongest currency. And we're doing pretty well in the Kiwi Swiss trade at this current moment in time, so really happy with that one. The Australian dollar's come up as a weaker currency. That wasn't necessarily the case yesterday. If we just scroll back to yesterday, you can see Oz was the second strongest currency at 9 AM on the day traders table. That did leave the tables at 5 PM, so ended up cancelling that pound Aussie trade. So when I posted the blog post and whatnot, after that I posted the alert. Then the alert was hit. There was actually quite some good volatility, and price hit that alert. I then placed the order after the alert was tested, and yeah, it just didn't trigger in the end, and price just continued to push higher. So the Aussie weakness has really ramped up and continued, and yeah, so that's one that we're not really focusing on anymore. You can see the dollar's a strong currency as well, and Euro has just come onto the table as a stronger currency. So we did discuss Euro Kiwi recently, and that one has continued to push higher. So whether we add any more trades at the moment, I think it's going to be fairly difficult. We might have to reduce some risk elsewhere if we are going to look at another trade and opportunity. But let's go take a look at what's on the slate for today. We've already had some data out of Australia and Japan overnight. Employment change in Australia was quite negative. That's probably why we've seen a decrease in the Australian dollar and the weakness in the Australian dollar. You can see full employment change as well was revised higher at 7.2k, but came in at minus 39.9k. So significant employment problems there. So there is quite an interesting development there, obviously, and we've seen that Australian dollar weaken. Now today we've got data out of dollar and Canada. Out of the US and Canada, sorry. Initial jobless claims coming up, and we also have Fed Chair Powell speaking at some point today. So that's going to be quite interesting. Going to be a lot of volatility around the US again. So let's go back to our tables. You can see obviously Kiwi Swiss. So let's go focus on Kiwi Swiss. Let's just take a quick look at what Kiwi Swiss is doing. So at the time of posting this morning, we were around about, I think it was 65 pips up. I don't think that's really changed yet. Around about 63, 65 pips up at the moment on this particular move. Looking to see if we obviously can continue down. We had a 60 pip stop on this, so we're about a 1-to-1 up at this current moment in time. Obviously we want it to better that. We want price to come down into these lows here so that we can get a decent sort of risk reward ratio out of this. One thing you could do is reduce your stop loss. You could bring your stop loss down from 153.58 down to sort of this level here, which is 153.21. That would reduce our risk by half, so then at least it opens you up 0.5% risk elsewhere. Okay, I don't really like to see 3% risk on at any given time, so reducing your risk there. Obviously, you have more chance of being stopped out by reducing your risk, but you are reducing risk at the same time. So actually, you're probably reducing risk by a little bit over half at that point. So yeah, that's something you can do. You could also try and wait for today's close. Let's say today closed as it looks at this current moment in time, then you could bring your stop loss above that high, and then at least you've locked in a little bit of profit. I always like to look at the daily chart in a different kind of way. I like to look at the third highest high and then put my stop loss above that, so that would only reduce my stop loss in and above that high at that point. Obviously you can be more aggressive, you can put your stop loss in there because obviously we've got the tables in our favor. So in theory, price should not really break a daily candle high in order to reach the next sort of area of support. But if it does, then it could possibly mean that price is going to move into a secondary phase where it could come back up and obviously retest this area, or obviously completely change and move to the upside at that point. So I think we'll see how it closes this evening. If it does close bearish, then great. What we don't want to really see is a nice sort of big pin candle form there. Obviously, there is some Kiwi data coming up as well overnight, which is the trade balance. So hopefully that is a little bit more on the negative side, so that it continues to drive our trade to the downside. But I think what a sensible thing would be to do is wait to see how that closes. If we do get a strong bearish close like this, move our stops into profit, and then at least we've locked something in. Let's go take a look at cable. Cable, really interesting, really starting to sort of give us a little bit more of an opportunity here. I can see that prices yesterday really kind of tested us in a way. We were in profit in the morning. Price then traded back to the upside, and I said, well, if price is going to make one last move, it's going to be in and around these highs, and that's what ended up happening, and price drove back to the downside. We have tried to breach back above that one spot 21.50 level, and we failed to do so far. Obviously, we've got dollar data later, so hopefully this can continue to drive down towards that one spot 20.50. With regards to management on this one, there's not really a lot we could do. If I'm looking at it from a daily chart perspective and looking to see if price can continue lower, then, you know, if I was looking at sort of the next sort of high, the only thing I could suggest is maybe if we get a nice strong bearish close into this bullish zone here, maybe we can reduce stops down to this high. But we're going to have to see how this one ends up before we end up doing that. I may be kind of preempting that, and then, you know, the US sort of session comes in and price drives higher, closes higher, and then, you know, then we've got a different sort of question to ask ourselves whether this trade is even worth it anymore. What I want to see is price close below these lows. If we can get a close below these lows like this, for instance, then I'm very happy to leave this trade open towards that target. I don't want to see price finding support at lows. If we start to find support, that's not really good for us. Now, in terms of cable and the strength tables, cable is still on there at the moment on a day traders. Pound weakest, third weakest, sorry, and the dollar the second strongest. Dollar is second strongest on the trend traders as well. Obviously, it'd be really nice to see pound feature here as well, so that we can get that confluence again. But as long as I think we've got sort of the pound US dollar on the day traders and dollar on the trend traders, we should be okay. Obviously, I don't want to jinx anything for us there necessarily, so we'll see what happens, and I'll probably look at this on the close of play, see where we end up this evening. So like I said, we're doing 2 trades at the moment. We do have 2% open risk still at this current moment in time. If we can reduce those by this evening, I'll be really happy. With regards to other charts of the day, you've got sort of Aussie Swiss that we can take a look at. You have got Aussie US dollar, Kiwi US dollar, and things like this. But Aussie US dollars come into support at 0.63 again. Kiwi US dollar has breached to the downside. So this is what's making me a little bit more happier to kind of stick to Kiwi at the moment. The next support level is down at 57.75, so this sort of low in here I think could be tested. So I'm looking to see, can we get maybe some opportunities there. We may have to wait till tomorrow, and it may have to be more of an intraday move. You can see that we've broken to the downside there. Like I said, I don't really like to see daily sort of candlesticks broken, because I just think that means that we're leading to something a little bit bigger. If I was just to put a fib on here, you know, maybe if I'm kind of preempting this as well, but if we did close like this this evening, then I could look for some kind of retracement overnight to then look for a continuation to the downside. I'd be a little bit more happier with something like that. Again, we could probably put our stop loss then sort of above a daily candlestick high, giving us a little bit more of an option to sort of trade down to something like this. So yeah, I'm going to be watching that one quite closely, and I'm just going to leave it to see how it ends up this evening, because I think if we get a daily bearish close like this, I can have a little look at the retracement move going into tomorrow. So we'll mark that up for now. Aussie Swiss is one to watch as well. We kind of talked about this one recently. 57.50 was my level of interest. What we were actually talking about at the time was a short move to come in. We were looking to get short at 57.50, well, 57.40 after the 57.50 was tested. Just to kind of reiterate that, if I just bring in our Discord channel and just go up to the alert that was set on Aussie Swiss. Yeah, so if I just bring this in here, you can see that it said, oh, that's dollar Swiss, sorry, Aussie Swiss, 57.50. If alert is tested, we'll sell stop order circa 0 spot 57.40 with a 57.70 stop loss on 56.25 target 1. And we've had pretty much that sort of move already. What we were looking to do was sell 57.40, which is just pretty much where price turned around. So 57.40 was there. So we kind of called the high, to be fair, on that one. The only unfortunate thing is obviously it didn't test our 57.50 resistance in order to then get short. So that's unfortunate. That's just one of those things. We're going to have to kind of give ourselves a little bit of a chance to look at what could potentially happen next. Now, I still quite like price targeting these lows at 56.25. So again, because we're kind of at this daily level of support, I'd like to see price close bearish. Then we'll have a little look at tomorrow and see if there's any kind of pullback. Perhaps we'll get a pullback into this sort of area here. That 5700, you can see we had a bit of a pause before the continuation, and maybe that will lead to some downside. Again, don't really want to see a daily candle being broken, because typically when that happens, then there is a little bit more incentive to see buyers stepping back into the market. I think that's what we've been almost a little bit stuck on recently when I've been looking at sort of reviewing a few of the trades. Let's have a look at pound Aussie, for instance. I do look quite like pound Aussie to the downside. Obviously, we spoke about this. We had a bearish candle, so I was looking to see if we got the continuation from the bearish candle. But as soon as that daily candle then closed, the way it did, it was said to me that price is just going to smash straight through this level and probably go up to the next level of resistance. And you can see this high here in the 4-hour time frame is the sort of 192.60, and now we're getting the bearish reaction. So I'd like to sometimes see if we get a daily close in our favor, can we then see that daily continuation? And we haven't had that so far. But yeah, on the scale of everything else, everything seems to be looking okay at the moment. Kiwi Swiss, obviously, okay. Pound US dollar, doing okay as well. Would like to see price come a little bit lower. I might just reduce this zone down and set an alert at 1.2080. We may try and reduce some risk if price does get to this zone. Obviously, that would be a 1.5R return. Obviously, we're trying to go for the sort of 120 pips to our return there, so that would be nice. So all in all, if we get sort of our Kiwi Swiss, sorry for the bad handwriting, but Kiwi Swiss, if that was to come in, that's like 1.6R, I think. And then we've got pound US dollar. If that comes in, that's meant to be a B there. If that comes in, then we've got 2R. So we could be walking away with 3.6R this week if obviously it all goes to plan. So yeah, that would be nice. Looking to see if we can get a continuation on those pairs. I do quite like Aussie Swiss, like I said. The only thing is we are at this daily low. I'd like to see a bearish daily close, because again, if I'm saying that we'll put an alert here and get short from here, but then by the end of today it looks like a bullish pin candle, my thoughts are then price could head up towards these highs again. So I'd rather then look for the short at this high again, daily bearish candle close. Can we then look for a little bit more downside at that point? So I'm gonna leave it there. Hopefully you've enjoyed the content this week, and I'll catch you tomorrow.